All right, GM. Well, one second. I got a reverb here. Gotta go hide this other phone. Okay. GM to everybody that just is joining right now from the stream that I just did a minute ago. Good to have you guys up here as well. I like switching it up and being able to have that conversation a little bit in the stream where you can look through a bunch of the comments. I think it's one of the biggest things that Twitter Spaces lacks is not really being able to see that comment section as you go. If they could just add that in, dude, that'd be so fire. We'll get there one day, but what Twitter Spaces does allow you to do is bring people from the audience up into the conversation live, and you don't really have that same type of capability when you're doing streaming. So they each have their own pros and cons. Like switching it up, like doing both. I'm going to be tired of talking here after this one's done. But, whenever you have the market moving the way that it is right now, it's just fun, right? Like it's the adrenaline that keeps you moving. It is the hope of what we have to look forward to from here as well. And it's good to just be able to talk to other people that are experiencing that same thing with you, right? Because in the normie world, most people don't understand the ups and the downs that we've been through and that we're going through even right now, right? So, like, being able to hop on these spaces, commiserate with you guys is awesome. If you guys want to join the conversation, feel free to hit that request button. I'll bring any of y'all up at any time. Dive into really whatever the heck is happening right now in the market, whatever you guys want to talk about. Obviously, this is a stonks space, but same time, definitely talk about more than the stonks as well. So, Mr. Crow, welcome up, man. Happy Friday. How's it going?
What's up, brother, man? Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's been a fun / interesting past couple of weeks.
Yeah, interesting is a good word. Hey, do you have your phone? You got your phone situation all situated?
Hey, so you'd be proud of me. A big reason why I did the stream a little bit ago and I pushed the Twitter space back was because I decided I needed to have that fully charged prior to the space because, like, how Twitter Spaces kills, it'll just make your phone into this hot piece of just a coal, basically. By the end of it, like it just heats up so much, even with the updates they made to it. It still can overheat, especially an older phone. So if you're charging it at the same time as that happening, it cannot handle both. So yeah, like it is fully charged, it is not on the charger. It should not overheat because it's not doing the combo of both. We're good to go.
Bullish. That's great, man. That's great.
But I will say it was pretty bullish the way it rugged last time. Like I at least spotted it out before it happened, and I gave everybody a fair cutoff before it happened. So, and it happened right about the time that it needed to anyway. I really needed to get going about that point. Okay, we got a couple new speakers up, but I mean a couple old ones as well. Mr. Rooster, welcome back. Mr. BTC Art, welcome back.
I'll let BT do his dick show before I hop on.
All right, let's hear it. BTC Art, this is your opportunity.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Love and light. Love and light.
There was not one mention of dicks in that. Like, I'm a little bit disappointed.
Well, how many dicks should I mention? Because yesterday I was just sitting there talking to a friend, and he went home and bought an entire bag of dicks, and then he sent me this text message and was like, "Does this make me a big dick holder now?" And I was like, "Yeah, bro, you are absolutely probably a dick holder right now."
Bro, the most amazing thing, Rooster and I were talking about this in Denver when we were hanging out. It was you hopping up on these spaces. Like, you can go through and you can mention the word dick about 50 times, and never once shill the name of your project. So people, like, if you were clueless in the audience, you just think that you're talking about just dicks
And
rather than the dino dicks.
that's what makes it so grand, right? I don't say
It is, but you also got to give the people some, like, you got to point the people in the direction of this inspiration. Otherwise, and like, more power to you if you are. I'm not saying anything against it. Otherwise, people just say, there's a dick obsessed dude that's up on space or the stage.
Yeah, well, I'm only obsessed with one dick, but the dinodicks.ai, or on Twitter, follow us at dinodicks with an S. Infinite juvenile dick jokes across an all too serious crypto Twitter. We promise nothing but fun, but there are some massive things happening, and I'm so excited to get to show the dicks. I don't know how big your bag of dicks is, Kaleo, but if you ever wanna throw them out there, we'd love to see your dick pics.
It's not big enough. Like, I really do need to ape more dicks. So
there's your alpha. I'm gonna step back for a second. I gotta hop in and beat this guy in ping pong, and then I'm gonna come back up on stage.
All right, man. Thanks for joining.
Love you guys. Peace.
Okay. So check out the
Bro,
Dino Dicks on Soul for anybody that's out there. That's BTC Art's Unrugged collection. OG Wonky Stonks member. Love supporting people from within the community. So yeah, make sure to check it out.
it's funny. I got a buddy who strictly gambles Russian table tennis and nothing else. And like bets tens of thousands of dollars on games, and he's pretty good when it comes to it. But yeah, pretty funny.
You said Russian table tennis?
Yeah,
Ping pong is Russian table tennis? In what world? Or like, are there different rules that I'm unaware of?
dude, I don't know. Like, I haven't done the deep dive. He was just like, one time we were hanging out. I was like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm betting on like 10 games of Russian table tennis right now. I was like, sick, dude. But no, you see, tapping 70 this morning, baby.
Tapping 70. Yeah. No, I mean, Bitcoin, like, dude, that's why it's been such a crazy day. Is, finally, I waited. You don't know how long I had in drafts ready to go. I did not send, like, I eventually ended up deleting it when I realized we weren't going to get there. But we were rugged of that 70K all caps tweet last cycle. We really were. And we should have gotten it. Instead, we just got 69K, and I never got to send it out. So the fact that we tapped it, that we hit 70K, like, yeah, it felt nice finally being able to release what I felt like should have been released ages ago. Yeah. So
Feels good,
I
dude.
mean, we'll see how long it takes to actually cross over it, though. I'm like, one way or the other, we're going higher. I am
Oh, yeah.
curious though, Rooster. What do you think about like the length of this cycle? There are a lot of people that have said like the length of this cycle is just that it's going to be way shorter because of the way that things have played out with having the all-time high prior to the halving. I'm curious, do you think it's going to be shorter, or do you think that it's still going to continue forward like same amount of length?
Dude, I honestly think it's as volatile as it. There are situations where, we could see the bull market cut extremely short, and there are situations where we can see it drag on for 2+ years. I think this is a cycle that, honestly, as you know, in most cycles, nobody really knows what the fuck is actually going to happen. But compared to the other ones, I think you need luck on your side on this cycle more than any other cycle if you want to be, selling the tops, because I think a lot of people are going to end up selling way too early and then FOMO back in close to the tippy top. I think even at higher numbers, even if Bitcoin hits 250K, I think you're going to still see a lot of people who end up being down massively. So I don't know. We'll see. it's tough. I'm trying to sit on my hands as like as much as possible and let my winners cook. But then at the same time, missing other winners, getting those FOMO urges. Everybody's aping shit coins and 100xing, 1000xing, and just trying to be patient, trying to find where I can comfortably scrape up some powder, not cocaine, but liquidity to fire into the market for new plays. And yeah, it's tough. I love all my bags, dude. I spent some time curating my bags over the bear market, and I don't really want to sell anything. So here we are.
Well, I think that's a good topic to bring up, because at a certain point you have to ask yourself, you do get a sense of FOMO, and you have to ask yourself, like, what is the right step to make? And I think more times than not, when I chase something, right, when I feel that FOMO and I chase out of one bag because I'm like, well, this other bag looks like it's running a little bit faster, I typically end up screwing myself over, right? Like, by the time that I try rotating back to whatever it is that I had conviction in initially, like, I'm not able to ape back in with the same size, right? And, like, the way that human emotion works, it's way easier to ape into green candles than it is to red, right? So by the time you ape into something that's green, a lot of the time it's like it's easier to ape into highs than it is lows, right? Is what I'm getting at. So, like, it's way easier to just get this FOMO and buy the top of something, and it's way easier to sell the bottom of something than it is to buy the bottom and sell the top. So, I think one of the biggest lessons from the last cycle, it's like having that conviction to be able to just sit there and the patience to be able to play that out is huge in being able to win, because you also have to understand you are not going to win every single thing. And that's tough too. When you look at the meme coin stuff and the way things have been popping off, there are like a billion different memes that pop off every day. And you're like, well, shoot. I mean, I want in on that one. I want in on that one. Like, people ask me about a bunch and I look at a bunch of them. I'm like, a lot of them are bullish, but you physically can't buy everything.
And yeah, even the ones that do run, like, I mean, we have quite a few people that watch new pairs. So we almost see like every single shitcoin that gets launched, like every 2.5 seconds. And what's really tough is when you see one at 60K and then it runs up to 2 mil, and then you're like, oh, I'm late now. And then it proceeds
Yes.
to run up to 20 to 40 mil from there. Like that's where I've ended up losing most of my shitcoin bags, was like almost being early and then trying to chase back what would have been my initial position. That's probably been like the biggest like double-edged part of chasing the coins for me. What's hurt me the most.
Yeah, the shitter is not easy to do. There's so much potential there, and you see it, but it's not easy to control your emotions. That's what it all is.
So I'm curious, Crow, what is your strategy with all that? I know you said you were playing a little bit around with some of the trading recently. Are you still, super active with that, or you pivoted strategies back to the old school Crow? Like, what is your current strategy with the market right now?
I don't have a strategy. I'm making it up as I go. I'm like sitting in the retarded zone in the Basho Telegram. I mean, somebody posted one. It was like Baby Bonk or something. 30K. It ran up to like 2 million in like an hour, and I was like, it's a derivative. Blah
But it
blah
was the
blah.
sixth baby bonk. It
I
wasn't
know.
the OG. That's the other tough thing. It's like you'll see something launch 20 times and it won't catch traction until the 21st time. Annoying. But yeah, enough time on shitters, I think, because those are always there. They're always rugging, pumping. What else have y'all been looking at? For me personally, SEI, INJ, NFTs are in shambles right now. I think they're in a good bid zone as long as you've been, stacking spot, ETH, and Sol. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really think everything's about to run, man. I think L1s are about to run. Bitcoin, Bitcoin's going higher, but I talked about this in the stream too. Like, it's tough to say. Anytime it hits to these all-time highs, it keeps going from there. But you look back, for instance, at, let's say, 2017, 2016, whenever it hit the previous all-time high from the last cycle in that $1,000 range, it took a few months before it broke above that. So it could, I'm not saying it will, but it could take up to a few months. And if Bitcoin just chops sideways up at these highs, you know what you end up getting? You get a big catch up trade from a lot of the major alts that are out there. And you know what? Within each of those ecosystems, a lot of the shitters and whatever else run with it. So I think that we're in that period right now where, if Bitcoin just continues to rip past 70, then it probably takes the attention a little bit until it tops out. But if it's paused here for a little bit, man, we are going to see a major alt run really kick off. Either way, we're not too far away from everything running. So that's kind of what I see right now. It's just we're almost in put it put your car on autopilot and just sit there and coast.
Yeah, dude, my favorite. I've been praying for a range for like $20,000 in green candles. I've been praying for like a small range period. That's where I perform the best, honestly. My best setups are trading ranges, um, and also especially NFTs as well, and being able to rotate. It's much easier, like as a rotator, to rotate while your majors are ranging. Um, because rotating while things are pumping, I end up catching the late bid. So I won't be upset if we don't just keep going up only. I need a little bit more time to stack.
I'm the same with you. I feel like I am more stressed when the market's going up only than I am when it's going sideways or down, because I'm always convinced things are going up. So when they go sideways or down, it's almost like a nice little breather where you get time, a little bit of time to compose yourself and to be able to figure out a game plan versus, when things are going up only, you're checked in the game. You're no longer riding the bench. You're no longer in practice talking to the coach about the game plan. You are sitting there and, you're figuring it out as you go, right? Like, so yeah, we're in that phase right now, and it's tough, right? Like, it's not the easiest phase to be in, but it's fun, right? Like, everybody loves playing the game, but it can be mentally taxing too. So I mean, I feel like that is a good analogy though, just for the way that crypto works, right? And I mean, hey, the way that it cycles, it's almost like the freaking Olympics though, right? Because you've got a few years to train in between for that 1 year of glory.
Did I like it? I came to complete almost as an epiphany this morning. I just realized like your best generational wealth play um, during these cycles is to just bid the major memes when there's the most fear, like max bid. You don't need any of your major coins. You don't even need Bitcoin anymore. And actually, I was talking about this with a couple of the Abasho people too, about a week or two back. It's almost as since BlackRock and all these major firms and companies are buying up all the Bitcoin. Bitcoin's almost lost like a little bit of one of its original meanings. Um, separation of wealth. And it's almost like it seems like the meme coin sector is catching that market share, almost as like coins of the people. Right now that BlackRock's buying it all up, I think you'll continue to see meme coins like siphon some of that market share out of there because you're not getting rich buying spot Bitcoin anymore. Like that was 10 years ago generational wealth plan. Even if Bitcoin goes to $1 million from here, I mean, unless if you have like a decent amount of money, you're not making generational wealth.
Yeah, I agree, right? Like, Bitcoin buying it right here, you are going to get great returns still to this point, right? There's no reason to believe that you won't. I'm incredibly bullish. I think Bitcoin's going to hit $1 million one day. But when you're looking at it from that perspective, you're talking about the upside of less than a 20x to get there. And hey, even that might take a couple cycles to get up that high. So at that point, what really, what are a lot of the people that are in here in it for? And I think a lot of the people want that opportunity for the life-changing money. And you have to ask yourself, why do certain things have certain value? And I think that understanding that memes do have real value is something that's a weird concept for a lot of people. And will the majority of these memes trend back to zero eventually? Probably. But during the hype of everything, the memes have real intrinsic value, and that's going to show. But it's like anything, though. You look at the majority of just alts in general, the majority of alts die off. So a lot of alts are just disguised memes with the promise of utility that they're never going to deliver on. So I've always been very bullish on the memes. I'm still very bullish on the memes moving forward. I think as an NFT person also, you have to be bullish on the memes.
Yeah, that's another thing. Well, I think NFTs are another one of those, sectors that you can still make generational wealth on, especially with how uh, minimal supply is compared to, even meme coins or even Bitcoin, right? You got in most collections 10,000 or less NFTs. I think those will, right on parity with memes, will continue to be uh, your highest growth sectors because that's another place where you have opportunity to make generational wealth.
Brandon, welcome up to the stage. What's up, man?
Hey, good morning or good afternoon, depending if you're East Coast. I love what you guys are talking about. I think these spaces and different, even your streams and things like that, and different people producing content that have just been around is so helpful because I think truthfully, and maybe it's not for you anymore, Kaleo, but for me, it still helps me to be kind of just level set with people or be level set and just talk through some of the different situations because as you said, we get in full bull mode and you just feel like it doesn't matter if you're winning, somebody's winning harder, something's going on here, something's going on there, your anxiety's through the roof and things are going well for you. It just becomes this chaos of these upwicks that you just feel like there's just not enough time of the day, there's not enough money in your account to buy the stuff that you need to have it all. And it's so good to kind of settle down and just realize, hey, I have to choose these things and I have to just commit and make a plan around what I've got or these different things I want to learn. And I've got to fight some of those urges to hate on something or to just stiff arm something. Like if memes at one point were not my thing. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I didn't understand everything, but at some point you have to throw your barrier down and say, am I going to keep being confused and complaining or doing whatever I'm doing in my head that's stopping me from looking at why people are buying this? Or am I going to figure out why people are buying this and capitalize? Because that's why we're here. We're here, or at least I'm here to make great networks, enjoy the space, but make money. I'm here to make money for me, my family, my friends, everybody I can. And if I'm not going to look at a trend that's right in my face and I'm going to complain or do anything else but figure out why buyers come into it, you're making a mistake. You have to test things in this space. You have to touch things. You have to play with the different chains. Even if you don't go back, you got to kind of make your way around. And it's so helpful having Kaleo streaming the charts. I'm not always a chart guy. I can do the basic chart stuff and get a basic feel. Having a guy like that, having somebody, being in the arena, having different rooms that give me different value, and just getting a network of people, whether you're super close with them or they just provide great content. It's crazy how helpful it is in these times to share that whole mind share to be able to produce at a high level. And I don't want to talk all your ears off, but it just gets me excited hearing all these great people. Even I see Pythonomics, the no chill man himself, like so many great people in the space doing big things. It's so fun to be along for the ride. And I think we're going so much higher. And I don't think it's going to be a shorter bull run. I think it's going to be crazier than we've ever seen.
Well, I agree with you, man. It's one of those things. If you have conviction, it's really difficult to it's difficult to get phased too much by some of the volatility because you're confident in where whatever is happening, where it's going, right? Like, it's even with the stocks where from last week we had one of our major whales, the one that aped the 0.19 wall, liquidated his entire collection into blur bids. And in a sense, you look at that and you're like, oh shit, that sucks. But then from another sense, it's like, okay, that's actually really cool because again, every time that there's been a major liquidation event like that, it's led to some type of major run later on. And a big part of that is it gives more people the opportunity to be able to stack at that lower cost, distributes opportunity. And at the same time, I would way rather have that entire wall of stonks that was at point 0.1 or 0.19 distributed from the 0.08 to 0.19 area evenly than just stacked it. Like, it's way easier to be able to cut through something like that, right? So there are a lot of, and you look at it, it's like it doesn't take much to really get to that point to where it does break through and send that shit in this space. When it happens really fast. And if you're sidelined, a lot of the times, by the time you finally notice it's moving, it's already done a 2-3x whatever, right? So I don't get phased. I've seen so much over the years that I don't get phased by any real movements like that. And it just is part of the nature of this game, right? It is being able to deal with the ups, the downs, and everything in between, because there are a lot of them. But when you get to that other side, it's worth it.
I'm with you. I'm like so numb to the price action. I feel so comfy with the stonks. I really do. I haven't lost a bit of conviction in it. It's not even phasing me at all.
Well, if you think about it, in NFTs in general, and I think a lot of us probably have the stories. Like, we all knew Can Pie Pandas was going where it's going. I mean, I've watched it mint. I watched it slow mint and didn't buy. I mean, I was just sometimes you just don't have ETH. You've gone too hard and you want to buy something, but then you can sit there and watch it and you see, we saw Pudgy sub 5 for years. We saw multiple of these big movers and shakers in a bear market that you're watching it in front of your eyes, knowing it's the move to make, but sometimes you still don't make the move. Wonky Stonks is one of those ones for me where I'm sitting there every day thinking I need to scoop some meat to the side and I need to buy a chunk of these things because there's multiple reasons why somebody will also buy. You're gonna get into an NFT phase. You're gonna get into an ETH phase. It's gonna be somewhere. I think it's gonna be somewhat like even where we'll see SoFi and stuff come back a little heavier is when things settle a little bit. Like ETH has gone and things are settling a little bit, so people are looking for the next thing. And the person who's been in, and when people are in the space, they have a name. They get on every week and they produce value for people outside of the stonks being an interesting looking and fun aligned project. Part of why I'll buy a chunk of Wonky Stonks is because I feel like Kaleo's on my team in the arena and all these things I'm doing. And so with him being somebody that I enjoy, the content, the energy he brings to space, I'm basically also saying I'm going to dump a certain amount of ETH in here because I'm backing that guy. I'm backing him. And that's part of what this space is about. You band behind people that you believe in and you help support what they're doing. And we've already seen that. I've seen in the arena days where 5 to 10 people will post their new Wonky Stonk. And it's because they look at Kaleo and they say, he's been here with me at the bottom. He's going to be here with me at the top. And he's been producing at a high level the whole time. And that's what you have to look for. Sometimes behind everything, you got to look at What's the community building behind this thing, which is memes and especially NFTs? Do I want to be a part of that? Do I think that network is worth being a part of? And it's really obvious with Wonky Stonks, 1,000%. It's worth being a part of. Pythonomics is out of the Wonky Stonks community. He's got a Campai Panda as his profile pic. I mean, how can you not believe in that guy? You know, so I think it's just exciting. I love showing these Wonky Weeklies and just hearing everybody.
Yeah, really appreciate the kind words, man. And like, hey, that's at the end of the day, I'm just bullish on. You talked about me there, but I'm bullish on like the community that's really developed around just everything else right outside of me. I mean, you look at guys, again, you brought up Pythonomics. It's like anytime that I have somebody within the space building something, whether it's BTC art here in the Dino Dicks, like I'll support that. It's a guy that I trust, a guy I believe in from the community. Of course I'm going to support it. I'll give him, the time on stage to shill the dicks all day. Like I'm going to support somebody that I believe in. Same thing with Pytho, right? Where it's like, he's got he's got the no chill, right? And you've got Willy Wonka that's up there also. And you've got another arena OG. Like you've got a mix of both that's in there with it. Like I'm going to support that. It's going to send. And like I put a chart up there like that. Like I don't shill something that's usually in the $15 million market cap range. I'm only comfortable shilling it because I am so comfortable in the community that's backing it, right? Like that is the only reason why I would ever look at something like that, is because I'm, again, you go to it comfy in the position, you're comfy in the community. And I'm comfy in the fact that, like, you talk about a bunch of these ecosystems as the meme coins start to send. Like, I think the AVAX ecosystem's pretty early with that. I posted up there like just over the course of the past week, cock up 130% in a price discovery, no chills up 250%. And it's going to keep sending, right? Like, you're going to have one bill, you're going to have 100 plus mil, and that's going to happen. And right, like a lot of that success, right, as people within your community are successful, it pours back into, it's like this ecosystem that all supports each other, right? So as No Chill does well, I guarantee you, that also pours back into the stonks also, right? Like, you look at a bunch of these different things, winners keep winning. And, the vibes of the people that have survived the hard times, there's something special about that bond that's built through all of that, again, that has intrinsic value. So, the community that you build along the way, a lot of the times is the most valuable part, because you'll find these type of opportunities and some of them are going to hit. So I don't know. That's my take on that side of it. I am curious, so Brent, like, are you mostly an AVAX guy, or are you in some other ecosystems also?
So I actually never did anything with AVAX until the arena. So I was one that was messaged by Crypto Daddy when I was asking about Friend Tech, because I never jumped in it. I was like, you know what, I got to figure this out. I was messaging KJ, just saying, like, are you in Friend Tech? Like, I need a code. I want to go play around with this thing. I've been putting it off too long. And then Crypto Daddy hit me with the link to the arena. I went in Friend Tech for 5 minutes, never went back. Went in the arena for 5 minutes and then never turned it off again. So it was just a different experience for me. And it got me introduced to a whole new community, which was the OGs of AVAX, which were all over the arena early days. So for me, it was really eye-opening. And yeah, I lost thousands of AVAX in the early days, and that would have been nice to have. But the thing is there's a cost to everything, and I had a chunk of money aside to build out different things I need to do and test different things. And at the end of the day, there was just so much to learn about what AVAX was doing and what they were building. And that platform allowed me to be introduced to such a big community of people and get tighter with others, that the opportunity that's come out of that, through whether that's No Chill, whether that's GERS, whether that's even calls that people have made in their rooms, it's multiple X's of what was the loss there. But yeah, I come from the kind of ETH, NFT, ETH overall coins, NFTs, things like that. I didn't really dabble too much in Sol. That was my own. I punish myself every day for putting that off too long, but that's the kind of thing. I think you talked about in your stream. Base is probably that next thing that I'm just delaying a little too much on. That's going to full send, especially with the friend tech points and all that money coming in. I need to kind of step into that. But yeah, I come from I started in 2017, and I've just been trying to learn as much as I can and get involved in as much as I can throughout the time. I've launched some projects with people. I used to run a development firm, and then now I'm just kind of doing advising and just enjoying the space.
So development firm, like, is that more of a consulting type firm?
Yeah, we used to build out like all the smart contracts and things for different projects launching. Like I was part of the team that launched Crypto Walkers that turned into Walker World, which is actually a really cool, I think, underrated game that you're going to see some big news shoot out in the next month. But I now am just from this standpoint, I just advise with it and just enjoyed being involved in the space for the last 6 months or so. I've just been more independent and just enjoying learning and just kind of being fully deep diving into everything going on, especially with the arena, just to take advantage of the investment side of the space while it's here.
I love that, man. I love hearing people's stories and seeing that progression, especially from being, on the back end where you were still building in the space. I'm curious, what was it that made you want to have a more active voice / social presence? When did you start kind of shifting toward that?
That's a good question. I think it started to happen when I just started getting really pissed off that I was early on in 2020. I was late on stuff. So I kept buying what everybody was telling me through CT, and right then it was just after DeFi summer, so I caught the last moment of that as I was coming back, and I just felt like I was the last of the party all the time. And you got two options: you can just keep taking the beating, or you can do something about it. And I realized the only way to do something about it is to learn about the calls earlier and earlier, and get up the food chain and learn how to find them. So I kind of started a mission to just network really hard with people in the space, and ended up getting pretty close with Capo, not the bear market Capo, but the real OG Capo, by just researching really hard to try and make a good call for him that would make him money, so that he would look at me seriously. And one time he did, he shouted somebody out, and I just started Twitter. That was my first time ever on there, and about 3-4 months later, I ended up seeing, hey, this guy gave me this call. I didn't buy it, but give this guy a follow. And when I saw he did that, I asked him. I said, hey, I saw that call. I sent you this call. It's 7x up right now. If it hits 10x, will you give me the same shout out that you gave him? He's like, absolutely. So about 2 days later, it hit the 10x mark, and he sent me a shout out. So sent me my first 1,000 or so followers, and that just kind of got the journey going. I've always been kind of networking in the background. I come from the tech industry in Seattle, and kind of building bigger services in this area when I was working in the old Web 2 space. But I just love networking. I love meeting people. I love trying to produce value for them, sharing that with each other, and eventually I saw an opportunity to build out some of those services and help people in this space. So I ended up talking to some of the developers I know, and ran that for a little while. But I just love the space. I mean, I can't get enough of talking to founders, talking to the people, the innovation. I thought I was front foot when I was in the tech industry, but it's just a whole nother level of creativity in this space. There's people thinking at a level of like, doesn't exist yet, but how do we do it anyway? And a level of transparency on the blockchain that it was just addicting. Once I started getting in, I just couldn't even go. I couldn't handle continuing to go to my traditional job every day anymore. And that's what just, my addiction and obsessive personality kicked in, and it's just been here ever since. Can't stop myself. And that's how I actually, the reason I own part of a couple of Ice Cube's basketball teams in the Big Three is because of Web3. Like, I caught it. I didn't get on the whitelist. I caught it the day that Luna, the Luna situation happened, was the day of their mint. And so I was hawkeyeing it. The NFTs went on to secondary with the ownership attached. Boom, scooped it. So another luck of the draw in the moment of the crypto world.
Love that. So is that how you got connected with Bags? Was before the Campai Pandas was actually through that the Big Three side of things?
I'm not sure if Ice Bags is, because I don't think the can. I
Oh,
know.
I thought you said Bags whenever you said that. I was like, I didn't know that he had any
No, he
ownership.
said Ice Cubes.
Oh,
Ice
Ice
Cube.
Cube.
Yeah, Ice Cube
Okay,
owns that
my
league.
bad. The ice and the ice got me confused.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
great
it's
value.
Web
Ice
three.
Bags.
But yeah, that's what I've. That was been pretty. I mean, that's been one of the most exciting things because I mean, I think you're a basketball guy. I wasn't a basketball player. I'm shorter. I'm only 5'10", so don't have the basketball genes. I was a wrestling, football, and baseball guy, and then rugby in college. But the just the opportunity to get on the sideline, to be courtside. I've sat next to Clyde Drexler. I've sat next to Ice Cube at the games. Like, just it's similar to Web3, where in the ways of gaining access and being able to have great conversations with great people, it's so worth it. And so the opportunity to get ownership of these teams and help his league out, to be able to then interact with these amazing people, it's been amazing. And I know Gary Vee owns a team, Snoop Dogg owns a team. Like, when I saw that, I had to get a piece. And again, if you guys are in an area that game plays this summer, I'm happy to get you guys an owner's pass, and I'll bring you along to the games. Like, it's a pretty cool experience. I love sharing it with people.
No, that is sick. I like it's a touring league, right?
Yeah, right now they're touring, and I think after this season, they're currently working with a firm that works with all the professional teams owners to look at buying teams out. So the long-term vision is eventually aligning teams to cities when the next set of owners comes in and buys out the thing. So we'll probably see that as long as the league continues to be successful. We'll start seeing larger scale ownership come in and expand the league.
Gotcha. Yeah, dude, I looked at it. Doesn't come through my city, unfortunately, but I'm sure it will eventually.
Are you
But
West Coast or are you East Coast?
Central, man, Central. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, no, it's all good. Like these type of things, again, as they grow, they do start to do that. So. But like it's fun to watch, and it's fun hearing about just your connection with that type of opportunity as well, because I do think that it goes back to just transcending where opportunity, a lot of it just comes from the connections. And when you're talking, about the NFT community, the arena, like X, all of these different things, which is building a social presence, it's also building, opportunity for deal flow, for a lot of other things that you may have just not really been able to get access to otherwise. Um, so yeah, like they're in the memes, in the NFTs, in the whatever else, without there even necessarily having to be utility. There is this intrinsic utility that exists. I'll tell you one thing that's been hard for me not to do right now. I've thought about like going on the whole whale market thing and selling my friend tech points, because I'm like, dude, if I could sell my whole bag right now for $3 a pop, that is tempting to do and just get out of it. But then everybody's like,
Bro, $3 is fun, dude.
but that's the thing. Everybody says $3 is fun, that they're running up to 10. So I'm like, okay, we'll see. I'm just curious how long it's going to take for them to drop it. I've got like about 26,000 points, which
You
is
know
nothing
how
to.
much ETH they got from those fees, dude? And ETH is up 2x as well. They have so much money. If they don't do a fat airdrop, they're dead. Like they have no other option but to do a fat airdrop if they want
Well,
to
and
survive.
not only that though, Rooster, they also raised a decent amount from Paradigm, etc. But from the sounds of it, I'm really confused on what they're talking about, like by this fair drop. where they're not owning any. Friendtech, isn't owning any. I mean, not Friendtech, but it sounds like Paradigm renounced their tokens. I'm very confused on how this is working. Like, I'm wondering if it's because of the fact that they already made so many fees that they're like, if we just give it all back to the people that invested in this, that it'll be the best thing for us. And they found ways of running farming labs themselves that they're content enough with how many points they got just from all the different farms they were operating because they knew the exact way to be able to farm tokens. So I could also see that happening. But yeah, I mean, I'm just curious how much longer it's going to take for them to actually drop the token.
Yeah, that's one thing. I started getting giga bearish on Wormhole there for a little bit until this past week. Then the lads got their stimmy checks. Dude, lads, I mean, I only ever
So
ended up
what was the
grabbing the
stimmy check
one.
for, lads, for Wormhole?
It's like 16,000 Wormhole with like 3,800 unlocked immediately, and then the rest vested unlocked daily over a year, which is crazy too. So I did the math, right? On the low end, at like $2 per Wormhole, and people are saying probably is going to open like 250 ish, but at the low end at $2 per Wormhole, it's roughly 30 to $40,000 airdrop, um, with 6 to 10K available immediately, and then you get paid every day. So 35 Wormhole a day at $2 is like $7 a day. They just gave you minimum wage, full-time employment with paid weekends for the next year if you're in like a state, like a red state like Texas, Florida, where minimum wage is federal minimum wage. That's crazy, in my opinion. Wormhole just employed the entire Mad Lads community at you know, that had the Wormhole badge at minimum wage.
Do you know what the market cap's supposed to be if it's a $3 coin? Have they given you supply numbers or anything like that for Friendtech points?
For Friendtech points, everybody's just assuming that, I forget, like 100 million or whatever it is, that like it might be a billion, whatever it is. Everybody's assuming. Oh no, I think there were 100 million points that were distributed. So the question is, what are the tokens to points? Like, is it going to be 1-to-1? If it's 1-to-1, everybody's like, that's why the whole $10 valuation kind of came into play. Is because everybody was like, okay, if it's $10 times 100 million, that'd be 1 billion, and everybody's, so that would be sick. I would love that. I mean, hey, if it were $10 a point, dude, that's a $250,000 airdrop I'm getting all of a sudden, and a lot of that I farmed in the first 2 weeks. So, that would be freaking incredible. If I get a $250,000 airdrop, I'm taking a decent chunk of that. I'm sweeping some stonks myself. We'll see what happens with that one. But I would love that. And I think, though, I've said this from the beginning, as far as the SoFi narrative, that's going to be the real indicator for like the rotation back into SoFi for a lot of people. Is what does this whole airdrop situation look like? Because the easiest way to get people back interested again is to see money flowing back in rather than all the speculation that was there initially. So we'll see. That's a big one that's coming up as well. Yeah, you've got the Wormhole one that you're talking about, Rooster. It's still airdrop season, right? Like, people are just getting paid left and right for participating and stuff, and you love to see it.
Dude, I paid $1,200 for my lad, and it's getting like 50K in airdrop so far. Best trade I've ever made, probably 1-to-1.
What's so interesting about Friendtech and the points, which I think we all hope, if you're on SoFi at all, that it full sends, because that gives everything we want to the other platforms. But you look at it and you think about what's been built out of Friendtech, and totally speak to this if you know more than I do. But from what I've heard, I haven't heard a ton being built out of friend tech or from friend tech communities, like I've seen at the arena, where we've got Pythonomics and the team building out No Chill. We've got exchanges being built on it. We've got NFTs potentially being launched on it with GERS. We've got all of these people looking to use the platform to build more. I think Hackerman Ace is building that interface so that you can have a dashboard on X and on the arena so that you can buy things immediately from there. So to me, what I'm seeing is this large scale community of builders in the arena, which gets me really excited.
You haven't seen that on Friend Tech yet, mainly because Friend Tech doesn't have like a clean public feed. So I think that there's actually there's a huge opportunity gap there where, same type of thing where No Chill was airdropped to everybody in the arena for the OGs. I am shocked that nobody has done that for Friend Tech yet. Just got all the base addresses you can from all these accounts and just airdrop a token. Like that's the easiest win
BRB.
ever. So, I mean, like, yeah. But anyway, so no, I haven't seen anything like that too much yet. But I don't know, man. Like, we'll see what V2 looks like. I think they'll have a more public interface with that. But at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't, because they tried a little bit of one and it sucked. So it kind of went away from their, what was working well for them. But either way, dude, Bitcoin's up here at 68, 69K. Like, whether we get a day here or a few months, which would be preferable, uh, it's fun. And there's a lot of opportunity by just sticking around, right? Like, we're going to be back here each and every single week doing this. There's slowly going to be people like you that end up being stonk pilled. I mean, more people that just end up finding opportunities through stuff like this. And it's exciting. Like, love being able to experience this stuff with you guys. So unfortunately, though, I got to cut off. Got a few things here that I've got to take care of this afternoon. But appreciated doing these spaces as always with you guys. Again, be on the lookout for same time, same place this next week. And we'll see y'all then. Wonky Stonks are inevitable.
Cheers, everybody.
Stonks are inevitable. Let's go.